All right, welcome. This explainer is built specifically to help you master the fundamental concepts of library classification and absolutely ace those IGNOU BLIS exams.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with examples you see every day, get into the nitty-gritty of how it works, and finish up with some key terms that are perfect for your exam revision.
So let's kick things off with a simple but pretty powerful idea. Classification isn't some dusty old library thing. No, it's a life thing. It's something you do every single day, probably without even realizing it.
I mean, think about it. When you separate dark clothes from light clothes, or when you group all your social media apps into one folder on your phone, or even when you organize your grocery list by aisle, what are you really doing?
That's right, you're a classifier. The same logic that helps you find your socks in the morning is the same basic process we use to make sense of a chaotic world. It's a fundamental human instinct. And as the study guide points out, you see this playing out everywhere. A postman sorting mail by street to make their route faster? That's classification. A fruit seller putting the best-looking apples out front? Yep, that's classification too. Everyone does it to save time, add value, and just make things work better.
Okay, so we've established that we all do it instinctively, but how does it actually work on a more formal level? Let's break down the core mechanics, the real logic behind it all.
So here's the most crucial thing to remember. It's always a two-step dance. First, you group things that are alike based on a chosen feature, which we call a characteristic. And then you arrange those new groups in some kind of logical order. It's always grouping and then ranking.
And the engine that powers this whole process? It's this simple, classic formula. Genus, species. You start with a big, broad category, the genus, say, literature. Then you apply a dividing principle, your characteristic, in this case, language. And COOF, you get your more specific subgroups, the species, like English literature, French literature, and so on.
You know, I absolutely love this analogy from the text because it just nails the concept perfectly. Classification is what turns a useless heap of bricks into a magnificent mansion. It's the difference between a chaotic mob and a disciplined army. You've got the same raw materials, but one has purpose and order, and the other is just, well, it's a mess.
All right, let's switch gears a little. We've talked about the general idea. Now let's see how this concept gets supercharged when we apply it to our world, the library.
So first, you have what's called knowledge classification. Now this is the big picture, philosophical stuff. Think of it like creating a giant theoretical map of all human thought. For centuries, from the ancient Vedic systems to Aristotle, people have tried to chart the entire universe of ideas to see how everything connects.
And then you have library classification. This is where the rubber really meets the road. It takes that huge abstract map of knowledge and uses it for a very practical purpose, arranging actual physical books on shelves and digital files in databases so that people can actually find them. It's theory put into practice.
Okay, this next section is absolutely vital for your exams. The why is just as important as the how. So why is classification so foundational, so essential in a library?
Pay really close attention here, because this slide is pretty much your answer key for a very common 10-mark question. See, it's not just about finding one book. It's about bringing related materials together, helping with correct reshelving, managing the collection, and, really importantly, allowing for discovery.
And that brings us to a fantastic keyword you should definitely use in your answers, serendipity. That's that magic moment when you're looking for one specific book and you find an even better one sitting right next to it. That's not just a happy accident, it's a direct result of a well-designed classification system.
But, it's a fair question to ask. Does arranging books on a physical shelf still matter when we have search engines that can find anything in a nanosecond?
The answer is a huge yes, and this slide shows you why. Those exact same principles of classification are what make the digital world work. When you use filters on a shopping site to search by brand or by price, that's faceted search, and it's powered by classification. It is the invisible architecture of the web.
Now, to get those top marks on your exams, you can't just praise the system. You have to be balanced. It's crucial to understand the limitations because, let's face it, no system is ever perfect.
And here is the core dilemma, the two-sided coin of classification. On one hand, it's brilliant at collocating, that is, bringing things together. But at the very same time, it scatters. A book on family life can only go in one place, so if you put it in sociology, you've just separated it from related books in ethics or medicine.
For everything it brings together, it has to push something else away. All right, we're in the home stretch. Let's do a really quick rapid-fire revision of the most important keywords you need to know for your short answer questions. Let's lock these in.
First up, make sure you know the difference between these two roles. A classifier is the practitioner, the person in the library actually assigning numbers to books day in and day out. A classificationist is the theorist, the architect who designs the entire system. Think Melville Dewey.
Next, characteristic. This is maybe the most important concept. It's the reason you're dividing a group. It's the basis for the division. A good, consistent characteristic leads to a useful system. A bad one just leads to confusion.
And finally, genus and species. These are the fundamental building blocks. Just remember, genus is the big, broad group you start with. Species are the smaller, narrower subgroups you create from it.
And that's a wrap on the basics. But here's the thing to remember. The principles we've talked about aren't just history. As we face this absolute explosion of information, the fundamental challenge of bringing order to chaos is more relevant than ever. The principles are timeless. Now good luck with your exams.